This is Byron, Lazine, and Nicole White, and you are tuned into episode 255 of The Real Word.
Word is up.
We got a lot. We got eXp. We
Yep.
haven't talked about eXp in a while. I'm excited for this lead topic with eXp. Get in the
Okay.
chat group. Hit the thumbs up if you want to hear about it.
Chat group?
Yeah, or the comments. Get into the comments.
The chat
Nicole.
group. Are you
I'm
chatting
so used to
back?
doing these live videos now. I think they're like, are
There's
they
no
chat groups
chat
on a
group?
live video? You know, there's all these comments on a live video on YouTube.
No, I hear them, but like, are we chat? I just didn't know if you were chatting back. Now you're misleading the public here.
Okay, I will get into the comments after this show. Let me know how you feel. Definitely hit the thumbs up. We've got consumer confidence. I dove into that a little bit on the hot sheet today. You and I are going to go deep on what that means, what we're hearing from agents on the ground floor.
This is your first week of the hot sheet, right? How's it going? You feel good
Well,
about
it's
it?
live. It's intense.
Feel
I'll tell you.
stretched out? You feel good? It's every day. It's like
It's every day, 9:30 Eastern time. It's on this channel. Subscribe so you don't miss one of them.
Yeah.
And it's live, so you can't screw it up. You know, you got to go. You got to go. And
you got to be ready. Like, what if you're ill? Like, what if you're sick? Like, what happens? Is there like a stand-in?
I told you I'm not getting sick in 23. I gave up getting sick.
Right. Okay.
I left that behind in 22.
Good.
So I won't be getting sick, of course.
I wish
don't try to jinx me.
Luck on
Nicole,
that.
you're like the king of hot sheets. Or the queen. What would you rather be? Would you rather be a king or a queen?
I don't know. I guess it depends on
Can a female be a king? I'm certain in 23 a female can be anything she wants to be.
You'd be a queen. Well, we can all be whatever we want to be, right?
That's right.
Isn't that what
so
they tell us?
I could be a queen, you could be the king.
Yes.
All right.
Yep. I'll be the king of hot sheets. I'm good with it.
Yeah. So you would agree that just
although
looking at your
you could
hot
be the
sheet,
king, you could be the king of your hot sheet, and I could be the queen of my hot sheet.
I'll be the king of the industry hot sheet. You're the queen of the local market hot sheet.
Hot sheet, yeah.
But every great agent that pays attention to their local hot sheet has a great understanding in a 24-hour period of what's going on, and that's what the hot sheet is for the industry. So check that out. That's 9:30 every day. But let's get into Racket number 1 here on The Real Word. Inman article, eXp founder Glenn Sanford speaks out on lull in agent count growth. So he did an interview with Real Trends, and Inman apparently covered that interview. So eXp World Holdings founder Glenn Sanford said the tumultuous housing market was a factor in him stepping back into the role of CEO at eXp Realty and the firm's sluggish agent count growth. We're going to get into the agent count growth. I have a hypothesis. Hypotheses.
You do it.
Hypothesis on what the agent count growth, why it's been sluggish. It's gone up in a year, so I don't know that everybody can say that. We're going to get into that. I want to address his comments here that the housing market was a factor, not only in him stepping back as the CEO, but for their sluggish agent count. Okay, let's go to his direct comment. Okay, so I think if the market, this is Glenn Sanford, CEO of eXp, I think if the market was continuing to be really robust, things would be different. Talking about the agent count, it's hard to understand the impact you're having on an organization when things are going really well. I heard a CNBC Squawk Box interview with Robert Reffkin, who is the CEO and founder of Compass. Nicole, I'm just going to play it on. You got to listen to this. This is the same thing Glenn just said.
Co-founder and CEO. Robert, great to have you back here with us.
Glad to be here.
All right, let's talk about the layoffs. Third round, what's involved, and how does this move you towards that cash flow positive goal that you've stated for the middle of this year?
So we had announced expense reductions last week. I think it's worth noting if we would have done that a year earlier, we would have been free cash flow positive last year. And if the market would have grown last year as expected, we would have been free cash flow positive. What happened is the Fed
if the market had grown, we'd be fine.
I say that every time I do my taxes. If I didn't go out to dinner so much, I like.
Listen, I'd be so much more profitable if the government didn't steal all my money. Of course, right?
Yes.
And Glenn says the same thing. Oh, if the market continued to just be abnormally crazy, like a real estate market we've never seen year over year, then I'm going to keep adding agents. Everybody's going to get into the industry and things are going to be really well. These are two very smart people saying really dumb things. Glenn Sanford and Robert Reffkin saying the same
Well, I
thing.
wouldn't say dumb. I would say obvious things.
No. These are pretty dumb things for people in their position to be saying. Glenn Sanford, eXp CEO, and Robert Reffkin. I mean, I could get on CNBC and say something to your point that obvious. This isn't ice. I don't want to be investing in a stock when the CEO says, well, if I laid off a year ago, okay, well, you should have seen that coming. And if I, had a market that was continuing to accelerate, then we'd be free cash flow positive right now. You're supposed to be somebody who's driving the ship. You were given, you raised hundreds of millions of dollars to build the greatest brokerage of all time. And you're saying, well, if the market was great, I wouldn't be in this position. I wouldn't be in trouble. Our stock wouldn't be tanking. And we're going to both, Glenn Sanford, eXp, and Robert Reffkin, blame our company's ability to grow during these times on a market that was abnormal and now has slowed down. That's silly to me. Okay. I Nicole, you and I both know there's going to be teams in this market in 2023. There's going to be small independent brokers, and there's going to be some brokers that are going to raise their agent count, that are going to grow. Now, eXp, to their credit, they did grow their agent count. Okay. So let's get to the lull. Glenn Sanford on Monday acknowledged that his company's experienced a lull in agent count growth and said that the market downturn was the factor. But those numbers, Nicole, are still an increase from last year. So he said that he currently has 86,000 agents. The number represents years of rapid growth and is up from 78,196 agents at the end of Q1 2022. So still an increase, but it's well short of his projection in April 2022 when he estimated the company would end the year with more than 100,000 agents. So Nicole, why has eXp's agent count growth stopped? Is it the market? Is it something else? What's your opinion?
Well, I'm just sort of going off of what I'm seeing on, honestly, on social media. I follow a lot of eXp agents, and they seem to be fleeing with lots of people on their side to Real. Honestly,
Yes.
there and we're not talking about one state. We're talking about multiple states, and then we're talking about, again, lots of people, like teams, big mega teams that are moving out of eXp into Real. I've been seeing it more times than I haven't, to be honest. Yeah.
Think about it. I've seen the same thing.
Yeah.
Every day it seems a new announcement for a pretty big sizable name team or agent producer in the industry going to Real brokerage.
And people that you thought that would never leave. Yeah, are leaving.
And then you say, okay, where were they before? I forget. And you look and it's like, oh, another one left from eXp to Real.
Right.
Interesting. Well, let's think about it. When you get to the size that eXp did in a short period of time, fastest growing brokerage, done a great job getting agents to buy into their culture, to buy into the way that they do business. Okay, so you've got now 87,000. You don't see this. Do you see the shape I'm making? If you're on
like
YouTube, you see I'm making
doing like a triangle.
I'm making a triangular pyramid type of shape.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean a pyramid does not mean it's a scheme here. This is not SBF. This isn't Bernie. This is just a shape.
Did you watch that? Have you watched that on Netflix yet?
The Bernie Madoff one?
Yes.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
That was so good.
He was a gangster, man. Like, for like decades.
You think he was good? You like him?
Decades. I mean,
why? Because he was doing
hundreds of billions of dollars. I didn't say he was good. I called him a gangster. Like, he was just
a bad gangster.
And then the amount of money he had left at the end, he's like, "Oh, I'm just going to bonus everybody out with the leftover 300 million." The whole thing. It's insane. I feel bad for his children. I feel bad for his wife, that is the only one that's still left alive of that whole debacle. But anyway, we digress.
Nicole, I grew up listening to Tupac and Snoop Dogg. So when I hear the word gangster, I think of it as a positive thing, but you were using it in a negative.
Well, he's like a hoodlum. I mean, he was.
Okay, maybe. I don't know if you're allowed to say that anymore either.
No, I don't know what I'm allowed to say anymore, but he was definitely, but everybody trusted him. Everybody loved him. Anyway, if you guys haven't watched it, you got to watch it.
Back to eXp.
Yes.
And if you're in a company, if you're joining eXp when they're 87,000 agents, and you're being sold this dream of a downline, which is, the same thing they're selling at Real right now. And I've been on record saying, and I want to repeat, tons of friends at eXp. I think they're doing a fabulous job. And I love what Real's been doing. And they're building a very unique culture. And that's why people are going over there at a very fast rate. And it's something significant in this industry. Any brokers that are poo-pooing what's happening at Real or eXp, obviously to this point, it's proven out, have their eyes closed. Okay. So, but if you're joining today, or if you joined in the last 2 years with this dream of, building your own downline and, becoming independently wealthy without ever having to sell a house, when you're at the bottom of 86,000 plus agents, you quickly realize that there is absolutely no chance in hell that I'm ever going to create a significant income stream off of rev share like the top 10, 15, 25% of original eXp agents, like the downline that they built. It's just not going to happen. Okay. And so now you're seeing people that have been at eXp for a while say, okay, well, I like this idea still. I still like the dream of building a downline that's significant enough where I never have to sell a house.
Right.
And they're switching over to Real. I've seen teams that have brought their whole team from one indie or one brokerage, wherever they were, to eXp. Then they're convincing their whole team, okay, listen, the dream is actually Real over here. We can do it at Real. And now they're going to Real and they're chasing this downline.
Yep.
And everybody is getting wrapped up into this, okay, recruit. It's multi-level marketing. It's all good. It's a great model. It's working for a lot of agents. And I think it's fantastic.
Yep.
If you're Tim Macy and you own 50% of Real's revenue share, you're doing the Macarena, baby. You love it.
You really are.
Yep. Tim's a friend. So congrats to him. Hats off to him. I love it. But if you're not in early on eXp, if you're not in early on Real, you quickly realize that there isn't this enormous life-changing revenue stream that you can capitalize on, especially in a stock market like now where, the stocks are both, way down from their peaks, right? And you realize, okay, I do got to sell houses, or people in my downline need to sell houses. And as agents are getting out of the business, maybe that's diluting a downline. And so I do think that there's a lot of factors at play. I believe that eXp as a first mover on this could be the Coca-Cola to Real's Pepsi. But if we continue to see a whole bunch of eXp agents move over to Real, that remains to be seen who's the power player. I'd love your comments. If you're eXp or if you're Real, trust me, I'd love to get a BAM debate going between
you love the debates. I mean,
I love the open format conversation for sure. Yeah, I think it with SCAP, it was a great thing when we did the appraisal one.
Yes.
I'd love to do one with eXp and Real where I'm not actually debating. I think just moderating and looking at the two models. If you're at eXp or Real, you believe that, this is the best model in the industry. And if you talk to somebody at Real or eXp, they say, well, our model's different. I don't know how different, but let me know in the comments, how different are these models? What do you believe that, the lull for eXp has to do with? I think it has a lot to do with Real gaining momentum.
Right.
Do you think, like Glenn says, it has to do more with the market? And I think that part of that could be true, just agents getting out of the market overall, because the eXp and Real, can attract more of a not as committed solo agent. Certainly they attract a lot of committed teams, but maybe not as, committed solo agent that they might have the likelihood to get out. Do you think that at eXp, Glenn not being the CEO and, going out and buying magazines and such has been the issue? I'm just throwing a whole bunch of stuff against the wall. I'd love your thoughts in the comments.
They're potentially throwing a whole bunch of stuff against the wall too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, all right, we'll see what happens there. Love your thoughts on that, on why I do think for sure, just to finish up where we started, that any CEO that blames their projections falling short on a market that has slowed, they certainly weren't listening to any BAM content, because I was talking about a Cold War in Q1 of 2022. I first guessed it long before any of these guys could get their head out of the sand. So be more realistic on your projections moving forward as it relates to market dynamics. I think blaming a market that stopped accelerating as the problem is a complete and utter racket.
Total racket.
Racket number 2, CNBC. Consumer confidence in housing finally rises thanks to falling home prices. Okay. Monthly housing sentiment from Fannie Mae showed sentiment improving from November to December. We've talked about this a little bit on the Real Word in the past, where it continued to decline. Now it is actually showing some positive signs. The share of respondents saying now is a good time to buy a home was still low at just 21%, but it was up from 16% in October to November. Hit the thumbs up right now on YouTube if your consumers are more confident than they have been in the last 6 months of 22. Love your opinions on that. More consumers now believe home prices will fall in the next 12 months. So they think that affordability is going to be positive for them. And more say that they believe mortgage rates will also come down. Nicole, on the hot sheet this morning, I quickly went over a couple stats. UBS analyst John Lavallo, he had a survey that UBS puts out every single month. 39% of respondents in that survey plan to buy a home. And this video is in the article for CNBC, which we'll link up. 39% of respondents. So that's 2 out of 5 people, Nicole, that were surveyed plan to buy a home in the next 12 months. Okay. That level has only been surpassed once, and that was back in 2014 since they started conducting the survey. 70% of respondents believe finding an affordable home would be somewhat to very easy. That being said, so they might be in line with this Fannie Mae survey where they say, okay, prices are likely to drop. Okay. That being said, most homeowners believe that their price value isn't going down. Okay. So you have buyers that are believing that we're going to see a significant drop in home prices, where they're going to be able to come in and get something more affordable in 2023, despite the fact that rates are probably going to be in the high 5s or low 6s, right? But then you have homeowners that say, no, my home value is not going to go anywhere. Let's talk about ground level here. Love your comments as well on this as me and Nicole dive into it. I saw some signs as we got out of December early. We're 10 days into January. Okay. I saw some signs in the first 10 days of January that there is real pent-up demand, that people are making significant offers. I want you to speak to this. Significant offers, as if it was a spring market right now, first 10 days of January, despite the fact that rates are at 6%. Nicole, what are agents telling you? What are you seeing in your personal business right now in just first 10 days of January?
I will say personally, I don't think my business has ever been busier in the first 10 days of January than they have these last 10 days.
More so than 22?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. I feel like January of 22. Yeah. For me, again, I mean, I'm probably not the best temperature gauge.
I mean, that's just one sample.
Yeah.
What about agents? Conversations you're having with agents?
Yeah. I mean, we can even see it though from our daily under contracts. I mean, December was bleak. And again, I think we've had more under contract in these first 10 days of January than we did of all of the month of December so far. People are out, people are looking, people are wanting. Properties that have been under contract or have been on the market for a while are now finally going under contract. I have seen a few homes that have had a few price adjustments, and that was sort of just what it needed in order to sell. I think though that obviously that they were clearly wildly overpriced.
What price ranges are you seeing price adjustments in?
So I just one that was at 6 and went down to 575 and then had multiple
offers. So well
offers.
Above the median price point in Connecticut.
For sure. And then I just put one under contract. It was on the market for 550 and we had to go over $20,000 over list price. Yep. There was 4 offers in on that one. Yeah, I mean, it's again, it obviously is tending to be more of that move up buyer. People are the family I'm working with has been renting for 11 years, and their kids are in middle school, and they want to get into a house.
Well, when you hear that, 39% of respondents to the survey plan to buy a house in the next 12 months, regardless, and that this level, has not been surpassed since 2014. It shows you, despite the mortgage rates continuing to go up, and obviously they've come down over the last 6 weeks overall, despite them being in the low 6s as we sit here today, and potentially the high 5s for some qualifiers, and maybe we're going to be sitting in the high 5s or 5s for most of 2023, which would be a welcome sign to a lot of buyers. Despite all of that, 2 out of 5 people say, I still want to buy a home. There's incredible demand still today, even after all the transactions we saw during COVID, for buyers, home shoppers to go and secure a house in 2023. To your point, they don't want to wait any longer.
No.
I spoke to Lisa Chinati, who has the number one team in Massachusetts. I spoke to some of our agents, the number one team in Connecticut, right? And this is just the Northeast. So this is a small little sample.
Very small sample.
But multiple offer situations anywhere near the median price point this past weekend were rampant.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a one-off. It was multiple scenarios, talking to agents where it's like, hey, put an offer, came in third place, put an offer, didn't get it. We went 40,000 over ask and didn't get it. Whoa. These are 2022 first half conversations.
Yeah.
Where you're talking multiple offers. Where
we waived inspections. Again, I had to get them really tight on their closing date. I had to get the mortgage guy to agree to a 30-day closing. Yeah. I mean, it was, luckily the property had already had a home inspection on it, because it's not anything that I ever write into any of my contracts, but,
so anyone,
yeah, but in that situation too, maybe you start telling your sellers to do a home inspection in advance, because again, they knew that they had to waive it after they were given the information and that there were multiple offers. So it's kind of an interesting strategy too. But yeah, no, it's again, at the end of the day, it all comes down to the inventory. I think I've been on 2 or 3 listing appointments, and if I can get anybody on the market in the next 2 weeks, like that's my goal before the spring market actually hits, because there are buyers out there and there's just still such few properties to preview.
Anyone working with a buyer right now, where the buyer comes to you and says, well, I'm waiting for a drop in prices. And you say, interesting, very, very interesting. Tell me what price point you're in. And in any market, they say, well, I'm at X price point, and it happens to be the median price point of that market. As a real estate professional, you need to educate them what's happening in these median price points.
Right.
You can carve out Phoenix and Las Vegas if you want to, but the far majority of towns across America in the median price points are not seeing any adjustments on those home values. In fact, as we sit here the first 10 days of January 2023, we're seeing multiple offers on well-priced, median-priced homes. We're seeing people go up and over asking price. And this is like a la first quarter 2022. It's happening again, and it's happening with double the interest rate of first quarter 2022. So your demand, your competition out there as a buyer in the median price point is significant. We want to talk luxury.
Yeah.
We want to talk about the middle, between median and the ultra luxury, that middle area, whatever it is for your town. You might see some price adjustments there depending on location. But Nicole,
for sure.
Per the last existing home sales report, we have 1.14 million homes for sale right now.
Yep.
Historically, the U.S. is between 2 and 2.5 million. Historically, 2 to 2.5, which is normal. During the height of the housing bubble years, we had 4 million. Right now, we're on the cusp of breaking under 1 million total active listings. If this happens in 2023, it'll be only the second time in recent history that this has even occurred. We are continuing to be at an inventory crisis, while 2 out of 5 people, according to the UBS survey, are saying they want to buy a house this year. I don't see how median home price values go anywhere. I'm going to continue to say it. The Cold War that I predicted last year, it continues to impact this issue, this inventory issue, and continues to keep home values at median price points up. Everybody on TikTok and Twitter saying it's going to be a 10 to 20% drop when we're talking median price points does not know what they're talking about. They're the biggest racket. And that's what I got to say about that.
All right. Ready for left, middle, right?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. You want to do your little
left, middle, right? The headlines in politics as they relate to our environment here in this country that real estate agents and entrepreneurs need to know about right now.
All right. So the first one is Fox Business. U.S. real estate has monumental opportunity to solve housing crisis in 2023.
Yeah. So on the first hot sheet on Monday, I covered this, the Compass going out and basically subleasing 89,000 square feet in their headquarters in New York City. Elon Musk and Twitter not paying their rent in San Francisco. San Francisco having 26% of their commercial space sitting vacant right now. That number is expected to increase. Okay, so Alexandria Real Estate's Joel Marcus says that he's got a cure for this office space issue, this vacant office space issue. He says that 996 million square feet of office space is ready for housing development. Okay. So he believes taking this office space, turning it into housing, because we just talked, Nicole, about the inventory issues.
Right.
Okay. We've got all this empty office space. Let's turn that into housing. Okay. With the new year comes new opportunities. This developer and CEO says that this is untapped potential in the sector that could really help investors in real estate, and it could solve this affordability issue and the inventory issue that we just spoke of. This is a monumental opportunity. It would take the country out of older, office buildings and turn it into housing. Okay, so you got 996 million square feet to account for. San Francisco, obviously, is leading the charge in empty office space. Many believe this will continue to get worse. Elon tweeted such just yesterday. While rates for 30-year mortgages are falling over the last week, home prices are now 2.5% below their spring 2022 peak. So overall, prices have come down. And it goes on to just talk about, this opportunity. I think there's a lot of challenges in doing that. A lot of these office buildings aren't necessarily set up for just to convert quickly over kitchens and such. It would take a substantial redevelopment of these buildings. I think a smaller building might, let me walk that back. A skyscraper, maybe you have enough scale to be able to do this. A smaller office building might be a little bit easier on the construction.
Yeah.
I don't know how affordable it would be, because, Nicole, a lot of these commercial buildings, they already have debt on the property.
Right.
Okay. Yep. So now you got to go redevelopment and sell it. Are you really selling these at an affordable rate?
Well, then you have to get towns, though, to agree to allow you to potentially change your ability to even do that. That was the biggest problem even here in the Northeast. Some malls were trying to change their zoning into condos, and the town was saying, that is not happening.
We're really just talking about one type of product, obviously condos or apartments. To me, they would, if this, catches, it becomes a trend, then the majority of these become apartments,
right?
Which is not good for more home ownership. That we already have home ownership on the decline. People are obviously getting priced out and all of that kind of stuff. So this would be beneficial to people that want to rent units, but not necessarily home ownership. Okay. What do we got for number 2?
It's funny because I was looking for, I think your sister shared us an article about building for rent. They're calling it BFR. It's interesting. I've been seeing that a lot in Fairfield County too. It just made me think of that. Okay,
it's happening all the time. If people are building in 23, they are building for rent.
I have to show you this too, because they're marketing as it being a multi-generational complex. They're like single family units, but they're joined by like garages. I don't know. It's really interesting. I'll have to send it to you. But sorry. I digress. Okay. So the next one, Fox Business again. You were hot on the topic today. JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon, more optimistic. Dimon. Is it Dimon? I was going back and forth on that. Dimon, more optimistic on U.S. consumer.
Yeah, he says certainly uncertainty is heightened due to Russia, Ukraine, oil, energy, food, quantitative tightening. Okay. He's optimistic on the consumer, but those would be the arguments against the consumer. To me, the biggest argument against the consumer, and you can find articles on this everywhere, is the fact that the consumers racked up more credit card debt over the last 6 months than at any point in the last 3 years. Consumer debt is at an all-time rise. There is an astonishing amount of people racking up the credit card because they got used to that hit in 2020 and 2021 of all this, cheap money in the system or free money in the system.
Yeah.
And they just can't get off of that memory of like having money and buying stuff. And so they're going to the credit card and, things will kind of work out into the future. To me, because of that, I'm less optimistic about the consumer this year, unless we can get, some of these rates down and inflation in a really, really positive spot. We're still at 7%. We need to be at 2%. So I'm less confident in the consumer based on debt. As a real estate professional, I'd be having conversations around payments as these mortgage rates continue to fluctuate, and making sure the person truly understands what they're going into. It might make sense to go a little bit 15 minutes out from where you were thinking about buying so that you can have a more affordable option. If you've got credit card debt and you're going into a higher mortgage payment, I fear for some of those people long term. Obviously, with the jobs market, all of that kind of remains to be seen what ultimately happens. But all right, there we go, Nicole. That's what we've got for this week's Real Word. On this week's walkthrough on Thursday, Nicole, you're making your first appearance on the walkthrough. We've been begging you to come on for
begging me. You've been begging.
Weeks.
I've been saying no. I've been fighting
busy.
it.
Now you're finally coming on.
Yes.
And
I have no idea what to expect. I don't know. Like, it sounds like it's like a little bit of a matchup. Are we matching up? Is it like?
So Matt Leonetti's coming on for his first time on the walkthrough.
Yeah,
so you've got Eric and Matt Leonetti over Ask Pod, and you've got, of course, you and I.
Real Word here. Yeah.
The Real Word Pod. And yeah, we're going to do a little bit of, which pod is better. So if you enjoy the Real Word, make sure you tune into the walkthrough on Thursday. That usually goes up at 5 p.m. Eastern, and support Nicole and I in the comments. We're going to be looking for people to say, yeah, the Real Word is a better podcast than Overask, despite the fact that they won the Innovator Award this year from Inman.
Ridiculous.
We've been 2-time finalists, of course. Despite the fact that, Nicole, I think we get more views and comments typically, but we'll talk about that on the walkthrough. Let us know. Jump up the comments for us if you've been a follower of the Real Word for a long time on the walkthrough. Looking forward to doing that with you, Nicole. And we'll see you guys back here next week on the Real Word.
See you guys.
Keep it real.